Hey guys, RageBarTV here, back with another video. Today we'll be doing a updated guide on FrostWhisper, what I've learned since I uploaded the other guide back in April, what's changed, rotation, anything like that, what's to go for. If you have any questions or concerns about anything as a free-to-play player, sigils, talents, runes, they pretty much all stay the exact same. I will briefly go over them right now, but for the most part, they're the exact same as my April video. Nothing really big change there. The only difference is I'm two-piece T3. Well, actually, I'm four-piece, but almost five-piece. Once I do get five-piece, I will probably be going Crystal Shaper, just to stick with the meta. But yeah, let's just get started here. So, just like with the other videos, we'll start off on the skill tab. Skill order level is the exact same. You want your Ice Spike level 10, then your Frostbolt, then your Sphere, then your Ring of Frost, then your Ice Storm, which really doesn't even matter, Teleport, and Ice Block. So Ice Storm, Teleport, Ice Block, they're last. The four skills I'm tapping right now are the most important. Okay, so Ice Spike, Frostbolt, Ring of Frost, and then Sphere. For your engravings, pretty much going with Sharp across the board, exactly the same. So Sharp for Frostbolt, Sharp Ring of Frost, again, Sharp Ice Storm. I use Agile for Frozen Sphere, so I can use it more often. Teleport, again, not really important, but I use Agile. Ice Block, not really important, but I also use Agile. And then Ice Spike. Again, you rotate between Cleave when you are killing ads or bosses that have more than one boss, and Sharp when it's just a single target fight. Inscriptions are the exact same. Frostbolt being the most important to get your Frostbane and your Advanced Bash. You could also use, if you don't want the crit damage, you could go for the skill damage. Again, it's up to you. I prefer to use Advanced Bash. Ring of Frost, I go for cooldown reduction so I can cast it more often. Ice Storm, I don't use it. This is for PvP. Unless I Fat Finger it, it shouldn't be used in your rotation. But Ice Cyclone and Advanced Brutal Force. Frozen Sphere, again, I go both Tranquil Mind, both blue and green. Teleport doesn't really matter, but I go for Advanced Tranquil Mind and Advanced Self-Healing. Ice Block doesn't really matter, but I went for Advanced Self-Healing and Advanced Brutal Force. And then Ice Spike, which does matter, it will be Advanced Sharpness and Sharpness. No really any deviation there from back in April. For your mastery, again, still far right mastery. You still want to level up your two other masteries alternate of each other once you max your main one on the far right, Chilly Cold. This percentage right here maxes out at T4 level 46. So the last four levels to get to T4 level 50 are just increasing the attribute from the stat. For your talents, I recently just changed my spec. This is a Focus FrostWhisper spec where I'm spec'd into Focus instead of Precision, just to try it out. Generally, some of these points that you're going to see are just because I got Reforges that were too good to pass up. So yeah, we'll go from there. So I went 10 into Bravery, 1 into Energy because I rolled a Reforge where it gave me +5, so I couldn't give that up. Mana Torrent, 10 into Chanting, 1 into Force Release. Your goal is to have 5. So Mana Torrent and Force Release, you want +5 in total, or +4 from Reforges. I have 1 point into Sharp Edge. I don't need it because I do have my 93% crit that I personally go for. If you're able to get to 103, you can, but I just go for the 93%. I think I'm at 94 exactly. We'll check my stats after. So I just have 1 point just because I rolled a Reforge. The rest goes into Sawblade. 1 into Ruthless. I don't have my charms on this account yet. Once I do, I will try to get my charms to give me my Ruthless to bring it to +3. 10 into Spell Penetration, 5 into Dying Strike. Again, the bottom 3 artifacts can be reforged to +2 Dying Strike. So you want your Artinos and Harma to roll +2s in a perfect world, which will give you +4 in total, and then the 1 point that you get from Dying Strike that you just talent yourself. Witchcraft for basic, and then opportunity attacks. That's normally rolled on your Brekka artifact to get your +3 in that. Strategist, again, I'm using my Cunning to just get the hit rating to 105% or 100% on a level 84 target, and then I put the rest of the points into Grace. Again, I prefer Fiery Resolve, but you can use anyone you want. This build, like I said, I'm trying this out. Up until yesterday, I was 10 out of 10 into Precision. I was noticing that my Force Release, if I got really lucky with RNG and I was spamming ice spikes back to back to back to back to back, I was dropping below 90% mana and not keeping up Force Release. So I switched to Focus to give it a shot, and that seemed to have fixed the problem. So if you're finding yourself having mana issues and you're at your 6% Precision on level 84 target, you do not need to go into Precision. It will lower your rating a little bit, but I mean, rating is only subjective to actually using the abilities and skills and sigils and everything that increases your character's overall or total damage. So don't take rating as, this is how much DPS you should be doing. It does play a factor for sure, but it thinks if you have more vitality, it's better than let's say crit or haste or something like that. So you have to kind of use your own take on what you actually want to build your character like. And then lastly, I use Field Doctor. You could use Tactical Plan to get that extra 5% crit chance. I personally PvP with this spec, so I didn't want to change it. I use Field Doctor. There is no benefit to using Field Doctor in PvE. It gives you no benefit whatsoever. Tactical Plan would be the way to go. Again, I just don't use it in my rotation. It does help if you want to use it, but I'm okay. For Sigils, again, core, main stat in the middle, until you reach a certain cap. If you're a free-to-play player, just like with the video in April, the caps that I've now learned have changed from what I had known. I was really new to the game. This is now four months into the game for myself. I've learned a lot more and grown a lot more. So I would go main stat anywhere I can. Until you reach 90% crit chance and 70% haste, I would not change any middle sigils to main stat. That is a pay-to-win or very end game thing to do. Once you're at 90% crit, 70% haste, then you can start dropping crit to get your main stat, as long as you can maintain that 90-70. Reds, again, all main stat. As you can see, mine aren't even max level yet. I'm still missing 5% int, and I'm doing okay for what I have. Yellows, as you can see, I'm still not main stat at all. I haven't gotten lucky. Again, this account used to be a Necro before I got it. I switched it to a FrostWhisper, and in turn had to roll everything intellect, because everything was Dex Spirit, as you can probably see from my sigils. This is crit. For blues, I do want to go main stat. I could drop the 2.2% crit because I'm at 94%, but I want to stay above 93. I may, if I wanted to, I could easily get to 103% crit. I just don't want to right now. I'm doing enough DPS for the content that I'm clearing. If I need to in the future, it's a possibility, but I'm just not using that right now. Yeah, that's it for sigils. The next thing I'm going to go over is your is your runes. Again, book 14 across the board is pretty much what I have went for, except for book 2. For book 2 Witness, I actually use book 13. I use Riddle 13. For book 2 Witness, I use Riddle 13, which is a defensive type, but what that allows me to do is socket all of my spots, not match the Riddle, but put Purple Zeus. The end game, you would try to get, this is super pay to win. You would put all gold. There's only a few players that I know that have actually gotten to that point where every single rune is gold, and then they have all gold on Witness as well. What this does is it gives you plus 45 int and then plus 6% crit damage 100% of the time, which is way better than the activation where if I drop below 70%, I get an increase on leech and damage. I'd rather have the constant. A lot of players that I've spoken to would rather have that as well. It's just way better. Your order for runes to get gold, if you are in that boat, even if you're free to play, I would still aim for this. Book 3, then book 4, then 1, then 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the order I would go. If I was free to play. If you're pay to win and you have gold and you can get multiple books gold, I would definitely go 3, 4, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. Book 2 should always be full Zeus. But again, that may not be obtainable for free to play players in any time. So you want to match whatever you can. And remember, the higher runes and the higher riddles cost a lot more. They're using the bottom 6 selection, so it's going to cost you a lot more to make. Like, it's 4,000 to make Zeus's, and very rare that you're going to get the a Zeus on your first pull. I've gotten it maybe 4 times since I got this account. Most of the other times, I'm stuck putting in 12 to get my 13th gold. But yeah, that's just RNG. This whole game is RNG. For spirits, again, they're the exact same. Whatever spirits you have that gives you the most of whatever stat you're looking for, that's what you should go for. If you just hit stats conversion, it will show you what stat's highest in that temple, and then instead of aiming for your main stat, you actually want to aim for that off stat. Because as you can see, if I aim for my main stat, it actually changes it to dex. So it converts my dex or my intellect to dex, because this temple is highest stat is dex. So until the next patch in 4.0, they're supposed to be fixing that, where it's any stat will convert to main stat, not just whatever's the highest. But that's supposed to be in 4.0, if not later. That's going off of the Chinese servers, or the Korean, the CN servers. So we could get into Reforges. So let's do that. We'll go to Artifact, Reforges. So you can see the charge. So my my artifacts are maxed out. Again, this is super endgame, so I'm getting extra stats, but all these artifacts are maxed. When you max all your artifacts, you get charge. And then charge goes up to level 100, and then it'll unlock Endura and Delos, and then in the future, you'll have more. And as you can see, it costs 18 just energy. You no longer need the purifies. You just need straight energy. 18,000 gives you a level. You can see what the levels are. That's the charge effect. So back into Reforges. These are my FrostWhisper Reforges. I have multiple plans that I try to roll for. But for FrostWhisper, I'm trying to aim for Braveries and trying to get away from Saw Blades. But for right now, I'm just getting what I get. So I got Bravery and Force Release +2, my Mana Torrent +2. Now on this one, I have Mana Torrent +1 because one of my charms gives me Mana Torrent +1. It's because I got a Saw Blade +4, so I wasn't going to give that up. I got Saw Blade 5, Force Release 1 here, so my other charm is a +1 Force Release, because I couldn't give up the +5 Saw Blade. In the end game, I would want to try to roll a +5 Saw Blade or a +5 Bravery +2 Force Release and change both my charms to +1 Ruthless, which will give me +3, which will just make you a beast below 20%. This is where I've rolled my energy, hence why you see the 1 point in my talent. I got +5 energy, +2 Dying Strike, so the only reason I'm taking energy. This is where I got my 1 Saw Blade, or my 1 Sharp Edge. I want to try to re-roll this one, but I'm working on my my +2 opportunity attacks right now. Just because it's using Sunder Blade, it gives me no benefit, so I want to try to roll it until I can get a useful T1 talent and maybe some more intellect, because it's pretty low. But that's what you're looking for. Just follow that. Your +2 Dying Strikes come from the bottom 3 artifacts. You want to try to roll it on Tinos and Harma. Your very bottom one, you need to roll opportunity attacks. Now, you can mix and match these if you roll it differently, but I just rolled it like this. And then the first 4 artifacts is where you roll your +2 Mana Torrents and your +2 Force Release, 2 on each, unless you have charms to support a 1 if you get a really good roll. That's pretty much it. I'll get into rotation. I actually laughed when I watched back my my April video to know how much I actually learned as a player and how much more DPS and how much I grew. I was like 27k in that video. I'm now 46k, 426 eye level. We'll take a look at my stats right now since we're here. So this is 13,318 main stat. My crit is at 104%. I do have the healer buff right now, just because I'm about to show rotation, so healer buff is on. Crit damage is 260%. Haste is 90%. Let me turn off the healer buff, just so you can see what my stats are unbuffed. and then we'll turn it back on before I start my rotation. Okay, healer buff is about to drop in 3 seconds, so we'll wait for that, and then we will check my stats again. Okay, so now we'll check my stats. So int stays the same. I'm at 94% crit. I am at my accuracy, which is at 105%, just over it to get my 100% on level 84. My crit damage is 230%. Haste is 80%. Haste I did not sigil for, except for maybe one, which most of the haste comes from my gear and my enchants and my gems and stuff like that. There's my defenses, my PvE power, my wild power, all that stuff. This will go up. I'm missing one ring to get more PvE power. We'll take a look at my my inventory and what I'm wearing. So right now I'm 4-piece T3. I should have 5-piece, and I most likely will be going Crystal Shaper, just because 5-piece T3 for FrostWhisper is, for lack of a better word, garbage. Gives me maybe 100 to 150k DPS increase, whereas if I went Crystal Shaper, it's like a 500k DPS increase, and that's what I'm looking for end game, is to do as much damage as I possibly can. So, you can see my stats here. I'm still missing one ring. This actually 2 rings. This is actually a PvP ring. So once I get both the PvE rings, I went for the PvE accessory and the neck first through the Chaos Ornaments. My rings will be last, just because it was cheaper. I went for the most expensive first. As you can see, my spirits, again, it's from Necro, but all these stats transfer over via Profession Master. So it doesn't even matter that I'm using Spirit. If I were to switch any of these to Intellect, I would actually lose rating, because it's not going to convert my Intellect into Intellect. It will convert my Intellect into Spirit, and not give me a boost. So I don't want to do that. I just put all Spirit and re-rolled a few of them to get my stat requirement for each. So as you can see, yeah, I got the Mana Torrent on one and Force Release on the other to support my Reforges. That's pretty much it. Let's get into rotation. Let me turn the healer buff back on, and we can see what I can pull. Now this is all RNG, so you might see really low numbers. I might get lucky and get high numbers. Who knows? Target dummies are great to test individual skills to see if they're better. As for a take on how much DPS a character or an account could do, as a Frost Whisperer, you'd have to parse maybe 50 times to get good RNG to be able to average out how much DPS you do. The best test, in my opinion, which may be wrong, is to be in a live environment. If I'm in a raid doing mechanics and I'm able to maintain a higher DPS than I can pull on a dummy, to me, that's good, and I don't care about anything else. Yes, the target dummy is standing still, but again, you're playing into RNG, where a raid, yes, it's RNG, but, it's live DPS. You're doing mechanics. You should be following mechanics. And if you can still keep a high damage per second and a high damage, to me, that's a lot better than what I could do on a target dummy that's standing still, and I have to run it 10 plus times to get the right RNG to get an average of how much DPS I can do. But let's throw this out here, and here we go. So how I start my rotation is, I'll just say it before I do it, is I will pop my Iron Will, which, by the way, Iron Will does increase your damage by about 4% depending on the level. 2% when it's not leveled up, but it's still just a free 2%. So I do Iron Will, Pet Ability, which my pet is Vinka, to get the crit damage. So, Pet Ability, Sphere, just watch what I'm doing, and you'll see. So I'm not getting any procs right now. I didn't start with 3 Ice Spikes, so you're going to see if I get any procs. So right now I'm doing okay. I'm getting some procs. But pretty much it's just spamming Ice Spike, and I'm looking at the cooldown of my Sphere. And once my Sphere drops to about 12 seconds on release, I will then stop using Ice Spikes, as you can see here, and just spam Frost Bolts until it's about to come off cooldown. If I hit 3 Ice Spikes, I'll use 1 to not keep myself capped, and then I'll drop my Sphere, Ice Spike, Ring of Frost, Ice Spike, Frostbolt, Ice Spike, Frostbolt, Ice Spike, Frostbolt, Ice Spike. As you can see, I'm getting better procs, so my DPS will go up. And then again, just hold, wait until I get Ice Spikes. I still got 20 seconds on Frost Sphere, so I'm just going to keep using them. Again, once I get to about 12 seconds on the timer, because it takes, if I were to cast for 12 seconds, and that should potentially give me 2 guaranteed ice spikes to be up right as my my ice spike comes off cooldown. So you're going to see my DPS drop substantially until I get procs, spike, and just follow this. So it will drop substantially. And this is why I don't like testing on target dummies. This is bad RNG. As you can see how many frost bolts I'm casting to get a 1 ice spike. It's not good RNG. This would be a bad part. And what I aim for. So now I'm at 7 seconds. I got my 2 ice spikes. I got my 3. I'm going to throw 1 off and keep going. If I get 3, I'll throw it again. So there's 3 again. So I'll throw sphere, ice spike, ring of frost, ice spike, and then just back to the weaving in. And just keep going. We'll do it for a couple more minutes here. Or for a couple more seconds. Get to 3 minutes. You can see an average with really bad RNG. I guess I get a lot luckier in raids. But yeah, like I said, this is why I'm not going to sit at a target dummy for, hours at a time to get an average DPS when I go into a dungeon or I go into an overlord that's max level with no buff and pulled 900k higher than what this is showing right now. And I just hit my ult. So that we're going to stop there because I accidentally hit my ult. So we're just going to stop right there. So yeah, I kind of messed up the rotation, but honestly, the rotation is watching your sphere, because when you drop sphere, it gives you a guaranteed ice spike. Holding 2 ice spikes when you're below 12 seconds on your spear. Throw your if you're at 3 at the start of the fight, which you should be, it would be ice spike, spear, ice spike, ring of frost, ice spike, frostbolt, ice spike, frostbolt, ice spike, frostbolt, ice spike. If you get that lucky with RNG. You always want to try to use Ice Spike, Ring of Frost, Ice Spike to maximize your GCD, because Frostbolt if you were to go to cast Frostbolt without having an Ice Spike up, you actually are waiting for the cooldown on Ring of Frost. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, concerns, if you want to comment down below, feel free. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. Thanks, and stay safe.